Hi, it's Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for March 2023. On March 7th, we have Saturn moving into Pisces energy. So let's talk about Mr. Saturn here for a second. Saturn is the Lord of Karma, Father Time. He's essentially who rules over this particular earth plane with the confines and the restrictions of the time-space continuum. Saturn has created the matrix, essentially, that we have been living in. He is about structures and forms, foundations, roles, responsibilities, and definitely responsible for the tough love life lessons that we all have to go through in order to push the boundaries of the evolution of our soul, of our spirit. Now, Saturn was in its place of power, both in Capricorn energy and in Aquarian energy. So this takes us all the way back to pretty much 2019. Saturn was in Capricorn energy. 2020, the Great Awakening popped off, stayed in Capricorn energy, transited into Aquarian energy, did the back and forth with some retrogrades, and now is moving out of its place of power in both Capricorn and Aquarian energy, passing the baton, so to speak, over to Pluto to hold it down in this Aquarian energy, while Saturn moves forward and dives into Pisces energy. Now, this is going to be a very different landscape. First of all, Saturn, he likes things to be systematic, structured, rigid, if you will. But now, moving into Pisces energy, a water sign, we're going to have to learn to go with the flow a little bit better. Now, let me just say that karmically speaking, there may be an uptick, if you will, of death. Now, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, don't want to be a fearmonger. We're already starting to see the aftermath of the Jabberwocky. This is going to play into this because Pisces energy, of course, rules over viruses, rules over the lungs, rules over mass collective endings, if you will. However, it's not all a Debbie Downer type of situation. We're moving into this Pisces energy, which is spiritual in nature. Saturn will kind of be teaming up and joining forces with Neptune, who of course is in Pisces energy. It's its place of power here in Pisces. Yes, they're on opposite sides of this Pisces energy as Neptune is kind of nearing the latter degrees. However, they're getting to know each other. They're helping each other out. They're having a lot of discussions. And although they're not going to meet up, they're sharing the vibe. They're sharing the mission. They're sharing the purpose. And they're going to eventually get on the same page. Now, let me try to not get too ahead of myself, but I want you to understand here that Pisces energy is the ending of something. And Saturn and Neptune sitting in this Pisces energy will have a lot to talk about, have a lot to disagree and agree on, because they're going to meet up. They're going to meet up at a 0 degree in Aries energy when this Saturn and Neptune in Pisces energy comes to an end. And we're talking approximately 2026. And if you've been listening to me for any amount of time, you would know that this great grand solar flash that we're all waiting for, I truly believe is going to be taking place in 2026, because Aries energy is when we start fresh, when we start new again. And this is going to be helping us create a brand new and completely different reality than the ones that we have currently been experiencing and living through. So Saturn being in Pisces energy is our chance to kind of get in alignment with ourselves again, get clarity on our mission, on our purpose, on our dreams. This is a time where we're not going to have to work as hard because, Saturn in Capricorn energy was like a workhorse. Even in Aquarian energy, there's a franticness there to, clean up and constantly be progressing in situations. It was a little bit tough. We were definitely maxed out with all the work that we had to be doing. Now, Pisces energy, we're a little bit more in a free-flowing energy. It's a water sign. naturally. But this free flowing energy means that we are not going to have control over a lot. We're not going to have a control over watching a lot of the organic and natural ending and completion points actually take place. And that might be a struggle for a lot of people, even if you are deep in your spiritual journey and try to have the understanding that this earth plane is merely a video game for us to advance our soul's expression through. Sometimes it's tough to watch things fall apart. Sometimes it's tough to watch people die. Sometimes it's tough to, accept the karmic soul contracts that need to come to an end in order for us to be freed up to actually begin again. We have to understand that this is a very deep spiritual energy. We have the Lord of Karma, Saturn, in Pisces energy, spiritual energy, hidden realm energy, unconscious energy. And through the process over the next couple of years, because Saturn's going to be in Pisces until 2026, we are going to see an ebb and flow, because of course, water energy. We are going to see an ebb and flow. We are going to see a tug of war in surrendering, because that's what Pisces energy needs us to do, to the universe, to the cosmos, to the greater, grander plan. And then we are going to have to sit back and watch us bring forth our dreams through manifestation. Now, this isn't likely going to be a new thing. This is something that is in our DNA, that is in our birth charts, that is in our soul contracts, that we've been working on, whether consciously or unconsciously, for quite some time. So we're going to start seeing the full completion of this particular cycle. And keep in mind that Saturn takes 30 years to go through all the signs. That's why if you're like 28 to 32 right now, or 58 to 62, or if you're seriously lucky enough to be in the latter parts of, your life at 88 to 92, you will be having your Saturn return. And the Saturn return energy is essentially when your world gets flipped upside down, when the systems, the structures, the routines, the relationships, everything that you've built towards in this 30 years gets triggered, gets flipped. So essentially, and not for everyone, but essentially, even if you're not having your Saturn return, collectively speaking, we are in the last chapter of our, I'm going to say, karmic contracts before we enter into Aries energy, which is essentially resetting this whole freaking Saturn cycle. So you best believe that this is going to be a totally different vibe that many of us have not even experienced thus far. We have to tap into the water energies that Pisces are, very karmic in nature, very much uncovering the unconsciousness in our individual lives and of the collective. Now, one other thing that is pretty good about Saturn actually moving into Pisces energy is that we are officially done with what we've been experiencing over the past 2 years with the Saturn and Uranus square. So you'll hear me talk about this in energy forecasts. A square is essentially getting into the boxing ring and fighting it out. So we had the Lord of Karma, Mr. Saturn himself, ruling over systems and structures and foundations, who likes to keep things the same, that is old, tried, tested, true, that wants to keep the traditional values alive. Get into the boxing ring with Uranus, the great awakener who wants nothing more than to flip the script, to shake the foundation underneath our feet, to open us up to spontaneous change for our best evolvement. So we've had these two fight it out for the last 2 years. This is why we've taken 1 step forward, 2 steps back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Now we are clearing this particular energy, this particular conflict. And again, we're going with the flow a little bit more. That Pisces energy is definitely going to take us to some very dark depths within ourselves, within humanity's unconscious collective, in order for us to unearth the darkest shadow parts of our existence in order to show it the light. Again, keep in mind that Pisces energy brings things full circle so that we can prepare to start fresh, to start new again, when we move into Aries energy.